Josh, you're onto something here. You have got an amazing game plan, and there's no way the execution could hinder that plan from becoming a great reality. That's what I thought when I tried to come up with a plan for an AI blog generator. So essentially, you'd make some input, and then an AI would generate a full-blown blog article from that input you give it. And that's a great idea. It solves so many problems, because if you've ever tried to write a blog, you know coming up with the actual ideas that should be in the blog is not what takes all the time, but actually writing it out is what takes all the time. And that's a process that we as developers can automate really well with AI. And I came up with a game plan. Let me talk you through that, because it was admittedly pretty damn good. And then to the execution and why I think this project failed, or at least why I decided to take a step back for now, and then I'm gonna be retrying this with a different approach in the future. So why exactly was the game plan so good, and why did it fail in the end? Well, in the first place, what we need from the user to generate a full-blown blog article are three things. That's first off gonna be the topic. So for example, I want a blog article reviewing this gaming keyboard, or I want a blog article, about planting coffee in the ground to make plants grow. Then for SEO reasons, we need the keywords for this blog article. What does the user want to focus on? Now we could also AI generate these. I decided to not do that, but instead let the user input those. And then lastly, we need factual input, because AI is really bad at generating facts. It cannot do that. If you ask AI, I think there was a very funny example on Twitter, who the tallest 7-foot person is, it won't know, even though it is in the question, or which religion the most famous Jewish something belongs to, it won't know, even though it is right there in the question. So AI is not always the smartest thing. And especially when it comes to facts, AI is not the thing you want to rely on. Now in fancy AI language, that's called neural recall, or I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but neural recall, essentially meaning the AI remembers something, but that's factually often not true. Now in the case of ChatGPT that can be true, but honestly it's often really bad and you can't use it for anything factual. Now with those input we can go ahead and generate a killer blog article for this user, right? And to do that I came up with the following plan. Firstly, we want to send that input we got from the user over to ChatGPT, or no, not to ChatGPT, to GPT-3 to generate a blog outline. Depending on the topic the user entered, the keywords, and then also the factual information that we want to generate the outline around. Because with that factual information that the user provided, we're gonna build this blog article. And then the plan was for this blog article to be self-improved by OpenAI. So that means the first outline that we get, we are gonna pass in again as a first draft of an outline, so that it can then rehearse this outline and make it even better by itself. And it can actually do that in some cases. That's really interesting. You can ask it to improve on what it produced itself, and it will actually deliver pretty good output in most of the cases. So we're gonna do the self-improvement of this outline once or twice, and then send it back to the user for approval. Now, once the user sees this outline and is satisfied with it and thinks, yep, that's pretty good, we can use that, it's getting sent right back to GPT to actually create the blog article. Now that is the black box I'm talking about, right? This is the challenge. Creating long form content with GPT-3 is not easy, and you need certain ideas in your head to actually kind of make it work, which at the point I tried to do this, I didn't have, and it was really hard, and the output was pretty bad, but I'm gonna get to that later. The question here becomes, how do we make GPT-3 create long form content that is not repeating itself, that is actually reflecting the opinion of the author into a really good blog article that sounds natural, that flows well, and that's concise and doesn't repeat itself, and it's just an overall good blog article? Well, first off, after we've got the outline, we've also got the facts of the user that we need to include in this article. So we are assigning GPT-3 to take the outline, take the facts, and then assign each fact to where it belongs in the outline exactly. So we have an outline and each point contains the facts that we want to talk about for that point. GPT-3 is not good at creating long-form content as it is. So to counter that, the trick I got from an AI researcher called David Shapiro, you know, that's not Ben, that's not the one with facts and logic. That is an AI researcher also on YouTube who does videos on ChatGPT and so on, is to iterate through each section and then generate the content for that section, and not the whole blog article in and of itself, because that won't really work well. So we generate each section and then also iterate through each section to make it better, as we did with the outline. We can do that once or twice. Now that's really gonna eat up on the costs for this, because each section, and we're gonna have like 7, 8, 9 of them in the final blog article, is getting put back into GPT-3 so it can improve upon it. It's gonna be quite expensive, but I think the costs of this are gonna be expensive anyway. So in the end, one blog article is gonna cost like 50 cents to $1 to make about, and the research costs are even higher, obviously. Now this project was actually quite expensive. It blew the budget I set for it of $1 by 25%, which is something. Anyways, but besides the cost, after that, we've got each section iterated through that and then appended to one array so that we have the final article in one array in Node.js. And when that's done, we've got an array containing each section and we can clean up the final product. Now in here, we could actually give the entire thing to GPT-3 and say, remove unnecessary stuff or improve upon it, and that could actually work quite well. And then after we clean up the final product, we're gonna send that back to the user. That's the master plan, and that didn't work really well. So let's get into the implementation of this in Node.js, just very briefly. I don't want to dive too deep into it, but essentially we can enter the request from the user. I want a blog article about this and that, and then we can also include the facts that we want in this blog article. Now the thing is, the master plan sounds really good when you hear it in your head or when you see it on the screen. However, it does not work when you try to implement it really well. GPT-3 is just really not meant for long form content at this point. What you could try to do is something like fine tuning, which actually could solve the problem, where you teach it patterns to actually be good at writing long form content. You feed it like 500 blog articles or 1,000 that are really good, and then it would actually probably be really good at writing those blog articles yourself, with the only caveat being that it is way more expensive to query that trained endpoint than the original GPT that you can prompt engineer with. So let me show you what happens when we actually try to generate a blog article with the tool I built in Node.js, and take a look at the final product as of this implementation I showed you with the master plan. To generate the blog article, the first thing that we want to do is input our topic. And I would like a blog article about using coffee as a ground fertilizer. Now the second step, and the last one in this model, is to input the facts that you definitely want in there. And for me, those were three just facts I found on the internet just for this video. Like, it's nitrogen rich, you can use it indoor and outdoor, and that's kind of it. Just 3 facts that we want in the article, that the article is based off of. And then we can get to the actual generation. Now this took about 20 seconds for it to finish, because I skipped all the self-improvement parts because they did not really work that well in the model when I first tried it, and they increased the time of output by like 3 times. So it took like 1 minute for each blog article, and they weren't good whatsoever. And so I decided to skip them. They were expensive, not really worth it, and my budget was already blown out of the water anyways. This article was quite good. I'm gonna be real, this was quite good, probably because it was not based on facts. If you want an article that's not based on any facts whatsoever, GPT is the thing for you. It's really good, and that is a use case you can actually use it for, to write long form content. However, if you wanted it to review a product based on your own opinion that you put into the facts, like this product is not worth it, it's pretty bad, I don't recommend it, and then the facts of the product, GPT would just throw your opinion right out the window and make up its own stuff about how good the product was and make it sound like an advertisement. And that is not the point of a blog article. You want your opinion in there and nothing else. It should be based on what you input, and not make GPT make up something like how good the product is, put it in there, because that is not reflecting your own opinion if you don't like the product. That is a use case where this model definitely lacks, but is it an unfixable one? Definitely not. I think we can make this work in a future video, make a really good blog generator out of this. Right now it's fine, it works well for stuff that is not based on facts, but it could be way better at generating long form content, more based on what you input and less on what GPT makes up. That's all I want to share. I found this really interesting, trying out a blog article generator, because I think it has so much use in the actual world of, content marketing, where people need to create blog articles, but it just takes so long to write, and they're probably not good at it anyway, so they hire freelancers to do it. I think GPT or Wordful or this feature, whatever you want to call it, has a place in that. I think it's very valuable. However, this was not the perfect way to go about it, and we need to improve upon it. That's all I want to share. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one, and bye bye.